All right, for more on this, let's bring in Matt Gorman, former communications director for the the National Republican Congressional Committee, and Ben Kissel. He's co-host of the last podcast on the left, which you don't want to miss, of course. All right, Matt, let me start with you and this Beto answer on charitable donations. I have a chart here because we got all the tax returns, and we found out Elizabeth Warren was the most generous, giving 5.9% of her income to charity. Kamala Harris at 1.4%. Beto O'Rourke down at 0.3%.
Yeah, my God, that answer over there was just beyond parody. It's like no one's a bigger fan of Beto than Beto. It appears that, like, if you are a member of Congress, a job you asked for and ran for, make $175,000 a year.
That the taxpayers pay you to do.
Exactly, yeah. That it renders financial giving to charity unnecessary. That if you have influence, you don't need to give money to charity. So in that answer, he came across as arrogant, ungenerous, and absent all at once, which is quite a feat.
It is interesting because, Ben, millennials are quite generous. Right. And so and he's out there doing that. But you think this probably wouldn't work on the campaign trail once he goes up against Donald Trump if he were so fortunate to do so.
And let's not forget we're having this conversation because the Democratic Party has decided to be transparent regarding their taxes. So that's actually a good thing. And of course, if you look through how billionaires have given to charities over the recent years, Bezos and Trump are right up there when it comes to the worst of the worst. Also, when it comes to a binary choice, if Beto would make it that far, when it comes to Donald Trump, the Trump Foundation, talking about charity, I don't think he wants to do that. It was $2.7 million they were fined for all the fraudulent activities of the Trump Foundation.
Right. Well, we'll see. I mean, there's certainly been a long-standing thing of conservatives and Democrats. Conservatives typically thinking charity should do more. Democrats thinking maybe government should be bigger. I do want to ask you about this. Mayor Pete from South Bend, Indiana, of course, an openly gay man married to his husband. He's getting heckled out on the trail for his sexuality. Watch this.
The good news is the condition of my soul is in the hands of God, but the Iowa caucuses are up to you.
So a clever answer. Of course, he's very quick. I want to read to you this New York Times op-ed by Stephen Palukas. He's a preacher. He said that Pete Buttigieg is not the first openly gay Christian. Rather, he is the product of a slow-moving but steady trend among faith communities to acknowledge the inherent theological value of the spiritual experience of LGBT people. Matt, what do you think about all this? And do you think that he'll continue to face these kind of disruptions at his events? He may. And this guy was obviously a bigot, and he showed pretty good nimbleness. I think he was probably prepared for some incident along the course of the campaign. You're right. It's a moment, and I think a lot of people haven't recognized it, that it wasn't too long ago, openly gay candidates running for office was unheard of. And it was a very short time ago. He's peaking right now. It's a matter if he peaks too soon. But if I were him, I'd use the money and the organization I'm building now with all this media attention to get myself a campaign that can last for the long haul. What do you think about this campaign?
I think that Mayor Pete is doing a phenomenal job. Obviously, talk about being the opposite of the incumbent, in this case, Donald Trump. No one is more opposite than Pete Buttigieg. When it comes to these protesters at his rallies, the way that he handled it, I thought was very smooth. And let's not forget, this is a man who fought for the freedom of the United States citizen to protest people like himself. Mm-hmm. So he fought for those rights. He went to war to protect those rights of those people who just heckled him. Mm-hmm. And I think that is making him look presidential, open-minded, and formidable. It could be that one of these moments ends up going very viral. Like, what if he lost his temper? Oh, yeah, absolutely. But in a funny way, right? Like, he's very clever. Yes, and you need to be nimble. You need to kind of go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a matter of being have really good instincts, but also being prepped a little bit too for that moment. Love having you here in studio. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Always fun to talk about 2020. Yeah. Matt Gorman and Ben Kissel. Thank you. Thanks.